Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the feature race at Del Mar on Friday. It's the Daisycutter Handicap for some nice fillies and mares going 5/8 of a mile on the turf, carded as race number 7. Let's take a peek at this field. Scratch the number 2, Tom's Regret. We've got the reigning and defending Daisycutter champion, Twilight, Gleaming as your 2-1 morning line favorite. She ran real well in her seasonal debut, the Giants Causeway at Keeneland, and she didn't run so well in the race at Royal Ascot, the Group 1 King's Stand last time out.
Yeah, it's coming off of maybe the worst performance of her career, Dan. Your call how much you want to hold it against her. I mean, there are some good horses in here. It feels like overall, it feels like a pretty well-matched group. But, it does also feel like that Twilight Gleaming, if she runs her really good race here, she's supposed to be pretty tough for this field to beat.
And she's supposed to be forward from the opening bell, as we see from our friends at Timeform US. Here's the pace projector for the Daisycutter. It has Twilight Gleaming out there for the lead, but that number 3 Sassy Nature is pretty quick.
Yeah, she does have a lot of speed. She comes off of a race where she showed high speed at Golden Gate. We'll see how they decide to ride her here, Dan. If nothing else, Mike Smith breaking from the rail with Twilight Gleaming. He's got to go in this race, use his speed, and just go to the front here and see what the other horses decide to do.
Closers that would benefit from a fast pace, the 4 Unbridled Mary and the 6 Christmas Surprise, who has the LP flag over her chiclet indicating the fastest late Timeform US pace rating. Let's start things off with Twilight Gleaming. She won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint at Del Mar back in 2021. She won this race, of course, last year. She won the Giants Causeway. I thought that was a very impressive effort in her first start of the year at Keeneland, where she just sat right off the early leader after breaking sharp and then just winning fairly easily under the line. Take the last race with several grains of salt. Maybe the course was a little bit soft for her, and she was under the gun from an inside post.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, it wasn't a great performance from her. And she's otherwise been rock solid, and she had run well in Europe twice as a 2-year-old. So all those things could make you feel like maybe you don't want to have too much confidence in her coming back, Dan. But I do think they come back in a good spot. All of her turf sprint starts stateside, they're all really good, including her winning this race last year, Dan, where she dueled with the horse who was actually favored in there, a really fast horse and Legs Galore. She dueled that horse, put her away, and held on.
Mike Smith aboard for Wesley Ward. The 2 Tom's Regret scratch, so we move on to the 3 Sassy Nature. And we're going to watch Sassy Nature's most recent race. This is going 5/8 at Golden Gate Fields against fellow Calabreds. She shook loose early, but she had to go fast to get that uncontested lead. 20-1 for the opening 2 furlongs, 43-1 for the half, and she's finally going to pay the price for those enervating fractions.
Yeah, the fast pace is going to take its toll on her here at the end. She jumps to her wrong lead right there, and she's just going to get run down here. She's clearly tired at the end of the race, Dan. She deserved to be. She went really, really fast early. Will they get that aggressive with her here, shipping down to Del Mar? I mean, she does feel like a horse who's at her best when they come out of there running and try to make the lead. If they do that, they're going to hook up with the favorite.
She's lost 3 races in a row, but before that, she looked pretty good, I thought, going 5/8 of a mile in the Melody of Colors, and the 3rd place finisher from the race we just saw. That horse returned to win a stake on the dirt up at Sacramento. The 4 is Unbridled Mary, and if you believe this pace is fast, and if she could duplicate this effort at Lone Star Park, she is very dangerous. She didn't break very well. They were hitting in front of her, 21 for the half. The jock took a chance in not going to the far outside, turning for home, Mike, because this filly is full of run, but let's look at the way she picks through horses. She's flying at the end.
Yeah, she got the seam to come through there in mid-stretch, and she's going to do the rest here. A really strong finish to run over this horse on the lead at the end to win it going away. Really good performance. She likes to sit a little bit. She doesn't have to be that far away, Dan. So if for some reason this pace doesn't develop, she's not going to be, totally outrunning this race. That's what was the case 2 back when they went 6.5 with her. She sat right in behind, worked her way into the clear, and got the job done there. But that was a very bunched up finish at the end.
The number 5, Amy C, has proven to be a downhill turf specialist, going the about 6.5 at Santa Anita. She excels over that configuration. Now, her most recent start was good. They shipped her to Belmont, ran her 3/4 in the Grade 3 Intercontinental, sort of set a second over trip, tips 3 wide into the stretch, is going to grind on, miss by less than a length, with the runner-up coming back to run 3rd in the graded Caress at Saratoga with a 92. She's very solid. Is 5/8 too sharp for her, though?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it is. We'll find out more, I guess, in this race. She ran fine in this race there, but you can see from the replay there, she had no excuse in that race. She had dead aim through the stretch. She was ahead of the winner, Poppy Flower, all the way down inside the 16th pole and just got out finished by that horse and missed second. I don't know how they're going to ride her here either. I mean, when you go back and watch the Intercontinental, that pace was super slow, and she could have been on the lead that day, but they didn't want it. I guess they're going to try to sit here and hope that there's some hitting in front of her so she can make one run.
Christmas Surprise in last year's Daisycutter came off a 2-month layoff, was dismissed at almost 30-1, and almost got there against Twilight Gleaming, running an excellent second. She's coming into this race off a 3-month layoff after chasing outside in a stakes race up north at Golden Gate. Give her a fast pace. She can come with a kick at a price.
Yeah, she really can. I mean, overall, she's just really solid and really consistent. Again, I think it's worth mentioning that in that Daisycutter last year where she ran so well at a big price, Twilight Gleaming was hooked up from start to finish in that race, dueling with the favorite. This horse got a great closer's trip in that race and came running at the end. She was only second best. She ran well. I don't know if this race is going to set up the same way that one did, but if they do go in front of her, Dan, this horse will run at the end.
The number 7 is Wide West, and this is a fleet filly coming up from South Florida for trainer Tom Proctor. We're going to watch her most recent start against the boys in the Roar, going 5/8 at Gulfstream Park. She got right up close to the pace, made the lead on the turn, and she is going to be very game to hold them all off at the wire. The horse she dueled with early, who finished 7th, would come back to win a synthetic race with an 83 buyer.
Yeah, she runs well in here. It's probably the best race that she's ever run in her life, Dan. I just didn't like the Roar as a race overall. I thought she had a pretty easy trip in there. You saw that horse, Dr. Osa, ran just rolling at the end. That horse would have been at speed in there. He totally missed the break. And I thought it sort of helped this horse get the job done in there. It was a step in the right direction. We'll see if she can improve again.
She likes to be forwardly placed. You got to think the fractions could be faster in this spot than in the Roar, so she might be placed on a hard chase. Tony Ann is the number 8. Interesting spot for the great Phil D'Amato. Here's her last race of 2022, and the last time we've seen her. So she's coming into the Daisycutter off a layoff. She didn't break great from the rail, but she soon found herself in a good spot in the pocket. She's just waiting for a seam. The seam opens up inside, and she bursts on through.
Yeah, ultimately, this trip really worked out for her. But I do like the way she finished it, Dan. And I also like that she just had that sort of easy speed early in the race. I mean, she was cutting back out of 3 much longer races off of a pretty long layoff there. But she still had easy speed to get the trip that she got there. And she took another step forward to win. I think it's hard to say right now, Dan, is she better sprinting or is she better going longer? It looks like she can do both.
We shall have to overcome the layoff, however. That last race was around Thanksgiving time. Princess Adelaide is the number 9. She's coming into this race off a victory going 3/4 of a mile at Santa Anita. She's been very consistent in her last 5 starts, first or second in all those races. In this heat, Princess Adelaide got to the lead, and she almost went 23 for the first quarter. A nice, easy pace for her. She sprints on home.
I thought she took advantage here to get the job done. This trip's probably not available to her in this race, Dan. There's plenty of speed to her inside. She still runs okay in this race. I actually felt like she ran okay 2 starts back when she just missed to Unbridled Mary. She was part of the pace that day as well. This pace feels like it's going to be faster.
And Secrets Told, the number 10, who draws in from the also eligible list. We saw her just finish second to Princess Adelaide. She was up close to the pace as well. Again, they ran 1-2 basically all the way around the track. This is going to be a test for her, breaking from a tough outside post against quality competition.
Yeah, her recent form this year is actually pretty good. I don't know if it makes her a super strong contender in this race, though.
Kitty Katana's an also eligible. She's going to probably have to move forward for Phil D'Amato if she's going to win this race. Cutting back from a mile all the way to 5, it's never easy, Mike.
Yeah, she had that race down the hill 2 starts back too, Dan, and she ran fine that day, but she was right there in the mix all through the stretch of that race, and she wasn't quite good enough.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Daisycutter Handicap. Twilight Gleaming, short price. And again, I guess there's a question mark. If you really just think it's tough to take a short price off a bad race, then you don't want Twilight Gleaming. I'm going to draw a line through that King's Stand. She's back in the state. She should show speed over a firmer turf course. If she doesn't get it done, I'm curious to see if Amy C's class comes through, even if this distance is a bit short.
Yeah, I got Amy C in there as well. I guess if I was going to bet against Twilight Gleaming, then if she goes off at too short a price in here, maybe I'll try the 4 Unbridled Mary. I think this race could set up the right way for her.
1458 for Mike, 1538 for me, as Twilight Gleaming tries to make it 2 Daisy Cutters in a row at beautiful Del Mar. Good luck.